of the 80 torchbearers to carry the flame across London.
Very much just because it's my hometown. I'm going to be running it in Ladbroke Grove right at the end. It's just they've given me the hill bit, so I get to run up the hill in Ladbroke Grove, which is very close to my club.
Government officials say their preparations for the torch race started quite some time ago.
We're pretty much there at the final moments of planning, just details now. We've been planning since June last year, so there's been a lot of planning involved and lots of agencies and organisations, artistic, cultural organisations, everybody involved across London. And we're just beginning to look forward to it.
The 50-kilometer torch relay through London is the longest leg outside China. Renting CCTV.
Meanwhile, the Association of National Olympic Committees has given a press conference ahead of its 16th meeting in Beijing on Monday. The association's president, Maria Rana, strongly opposed any boycott of the Beijing Games. Rana said the word boycott has disappeared from the Olympic movement and the Games is not meant to promote or resolve any political issue. He said neither total nor partial boycott should take place because it would be against the Olympic Charter. The president told reporters that a large number of topics will be discussed in the upcoming conference. But the main theme is to support the Games and athletes, and any politician or government intending a boycott will be committing a major mistake. The conference is held every 4 years in that year's Olympic hosting country. Workers have been busy installing facilities at the National Stadium. Nicknamed the Bird's Nest, the stadium will be the main venue for track and field events for this year's Beijing Olympics. 6 Italian workers will spend about 2 weeks to lay the tracks. They say the tracks have a new design and their elasticity is much better than that used for the 2004 Athens Olympics. Meanwhile, work on both the inside and outside walls of the stadium has been completed. A picture circulating on the internet showing the Chinese armed police carrying monks' robes has been identified. The police turned out to actually be acting as extras in the movie. Yuan Xiaoyuan takes a closer look.
Ever since the March the 14th riots in Lhasa, there have been claims by some people overseas that Chinese armed police dressed as Tibetan monks to join the violence, and a picture spreading through the internet was used to prove this. But this picture was actually taken during the movie shoot in 2001. The police were acting as extras in the movie and were handed out costumes for the roles as monks. Policeman Liu Pengbo was one of the actors on that day.
This picture was taken in November 2001. The armed police in Tibet were taking part in the movie called The Touch. We were wearing the 1987 style of uniform at that time. That uniform was changed in 2006. So this picture is obviously taken before 2006.
People also found the bicycles on the picture is no longer used anymore. Yuan Xiaoyuan, CCTV.
In 1959, the serf system was put to an end after more than 1,000 years of practice in Tibet. Since then, development has been the region's main theme. Our reporter Wang Xin visited a village not far from the regional capital of Lhasa to find out about life there.
After half an hour's drive from Lhasa, I'm here in this old Tibetan village. 95% of the villagers are Tibetan, and I'm going to visit an old Tibetan couple who lived here throughout their lives. For 82-year-old Penchak Jokar and her husband, life has been like this for years. Slow and serene, everything is in line with Tibetan traditions. For this couple, change seems unimaginable. Having suffered terrible hardships early on in life, they are just fine with what they have now. Half a century ago, Jokar was a serf, the Tibetan form of slaves. She remembers the days when her owner treats serfs as talking livestock. Her paralyzed finger is a constant reminder.
The serf owner would hide his whip inside the sleeves of his robes. As I was working, he whipped my finger out of joint. I could do nothing but go back to my bunker just to get some water.
Now, Jokar has some real livestock. She also has a piece of farmland to call her own, and her house was provided free by the government. These days, the couple have enough to eat. She told me that compared with the old times, life now is very good. She said she feels just like someone who has been pulled out of the mud, but that doesn't mean her life is without worries.
Frankly, life now could not be better. We are happy. But recently, some people have been causing some trouble. We are a bit concerned.
Jokar was referring to the riots in Lhasa about 3 weeks ago. Also concerned is her grandson-in-law, a Han Chinese. Zhang Yonggang arrived in Tibet from neighboring Sichuan province and 13 years ago married a Tibetan girl, Dawa Jokar.
Those people with ulterior motives don't want to see us living good lives. There are so many preferential policies. Why do they do such things? They shouldn't have. They really shouldn't have.
Zhang runs a quarry factory nearby. Like most of the villagers, he built his new house thanks to a large government subsidy. He has a car and a truck, but that's nothing special, he told me. 60% of the villagers have cars. The couple has 2 daughters, with one away at school. Both are registered as Tibetan because Tibetan children enjoy schooling and healthcare completely free.
Now our lives are so good. The state gave us so much money to build our new house. The riots are pointless.
As one of the few Han Chinese living in the village, Zhang said he doesn't feel like an outsider at all. The Han Chinese came here and local people's lives got much better, he said, so the Tibetans like them a lot. CCTV, Lhasa.
Our reporter Wang Xin is now on the line. Hello, Wang Xin.
Hello, Zhang.
It's been 3 weeks since the riots in Lhasa. How are things there now?
Well, for most of the residents here in Lhasa, life has returned to normal. They go to work, go shopping, children go to school. For them, to a large extent, things are now how they were before March the 14th. But as you know, tourism has been severely affected in the city, and for people in the business, it will still be quite some time for business to rejuvenate. Before, it was hard to get a taxi, but now it's pretty easy. But things are definitely improving. In the daytime, many shops are open for business, and at night we do see many bars and recreational places open and running. That is a big difference from about a week ago when many bars were closed at night. Also, we are seeing more and more people on the streets at night, a lot different from about a week ago when we saw only few people out in the evening. I must say that Lhasa is returning to normal, and it is now a safe place to be.
A government notice said tourism spots in Lhasa will reopen on the 1st of May. From what you have seen, what will the day be like in the city?
Well, a couple of hours ago, I called Kemba Gilson, head of the management office of the Patala Palace. He told me that today, about 200 tourists visited the palace. Earlier this week, the number was about 60 or 70. Of course, it's the weekend, and naturally there should be more visitors, but it's still something considering the circumstances. The thing is, there have been no tourist groups since the riots, no domestic tour groups, and not to mention overseas tour groups. One of the reasons is that some of the tourist spots like the Jokan Temple and the Rumchi Temple are still closed to tourists. We expect those spots to reopen before May the 1st because they are the places tourists like to visit aside from the Patala Palace. It is not clear how many group tours will launch on May the 1st, so I can't say for sure what it would be like on that day. But I would say as Lhasa is getting back to what it was before the riots, with tourist confidence restored, there will be more and more tourists back on the streets of Lhasa. Zhang.
Thank you, Wang Xin. Thank you very much. That was Wang Xin in Lhasa. You're watching China Today, coming up after a short break. China Eastern Airlines faces trouble from disgruntled pilots and angry passengers. And the government gives the green light for commercial... Welcome back. 14 China Eastern Airlines flights refused to land on Monday and return to their departure bases. The pilots in Yunnan province were reported to be discontent about labor conditions, citing long working hours and low pay. Passengers want compensation for the delays and say they will take legal action. The incident could be a warning to other airlines to properly handle their internal problems. Wang Xiqing takes a closer look.
The 14 flights belong to the Yunnan branch of China Eastern Airlines. Monday's disruption caused some 20 hours of delay, and airport terminals were flooded with angry passengers. Some say they will gather evidence for lawsuits, and all the passengers should fight for their rights. Stunned by the sudden turn of events, the aviation company said the flights had returned to base because of bad weather. But weather experts say there wasn't a single raindrop in the region the whole day on Monday. Although it was a little cloudy, but that shouldn't affect flights. Various media later in the week revealed the dispute between pilots and the company over labor issues. Pilots are said to be increasingly discontent with low payment and extra working hours. About 200 of them are planning to resign.
Personally, I think if the pilots don't want to work, they could simply refuse to fly. Returning to base is their passive way to express dissatisfaction. But for the company, passengers paid China Eastern Airlines for a service, so the company must take care of its customers' needs first and pay compensation before dealing with the internal issue of labor disputes.
On Saturday, China Eastern Airlines issued a statement apologizing for the inconvenience caused to passengers and saying it will carefully handle this incident. But China Eastern is not the only airline facing trouble in the skies. The boom in air travel means China is short of pilots. In the next 5 years, the country will need to double the number of pilots if it is to keep up with the industry's expansion. That means experienced pilots will be in high demand and are likely to look for better-paying employers. Wang Xiqing, CCTV.
China's food and drug regulators have authorized a domestic firm to begin commercial production of a human bird flu vaccine following more than 2 years of clinical trials. Ren Ting has the story.
The vaccine should defend humans against H5N1 virus and its epidemic variety. The research and production are all conducted by Chinese scientists.
The vaccine is able to tackle the epidemic outbreaks caused by the H5N1 virus. Even if the virus mutates in human bodies, our company has mature technologies to immediately produce new vaccines. Over 500 volunteers have received injections of the vaccine, which proves the safety and effectiveness of the vaccine.
We have completed the technological chain from epidemic monitoring to virus decomposing and industrial production of the vaccine.
Officials say the vaccine will be on hand as part of preparations for any possible epidemic during the Beijing Olympics. For the moment, the vaccine will not be sold in retail drugstores, but will be reserved for emergency distribution in case of a major outbreak. Ren Ting, CCTV.
Economic cooperation between the country's western and eastern regions is getting a boost at an investment and trade forum. The annual event is in the northwestern city of Xi'an is also a big draw for entrepreneurs and investors from abroad. Dang Wei reports from the forum.
The 12th Investment and Trade Forum for Cooperation between East and West China attracts thousands of business people from home and abroad. A total of 2,600 booths provide investment and cooperation platform for the East and the West. For the first time, this year's forum features a job fair. About 150 companies from across the country provide over 6,000 jobs in more than 30 industries, such as agriculture, finance, and education.
Our group is providing 100 posts, covering sectors such as real estate, construction, and food. So far, the job hunting goes very well. We have received over 30 resumes within half an hour. Job hunters here are very active.
I am a graduate. My major is economics. I knew the job fair through the internet, so I want to find myself a chance for further development.
Meanwhile, the Eastern and Central regions' personnel departments are also planning to set up a long-term cooperative mechanism with Western universities and colleges. Another highlight of this year's trade forum is the creation of an energy-saving and environmental protection zone. Hundreds of enterprises, including the world top 500, as well as well-known domestic firms, showcase their advanced green technologies.
We are showcasing our new technology on sewage processing. We hope to seek further cooperation opportunities here. I believe business opportunities between the East and the West will increase. The differences between the two regions themselves create many chances for us.
Since 1997, when the Trade Forum was launched, the overall value of domestic cooperation contracts has reached over 660 billion yuan. The value of foreign invested contracts has topped $18 billion. Balanced development between the East and the West is necessary for a sustainable national economy. As the Trade Forum expands in both scale and scope, the cooperation between China's relatively affluent East and impoverished West has also gained momentum. That echoes the central government target for stable development and, in turn, a harmonious society. 邓威 CCTV 西安 Shanxi Province